Welcome to the Teacher Squad podcast, episode 1.
I'm Jane Considine.
And I'm Heather Wright.
Today we're going to be talking about happy teachers.
We're going to talk about art, picture books, and we've got a great interview with Adele Darlington.
And lesson derailers.
And maybe a bit of papier-mâché.
Oh yes, hello. Well, let's get started. Hello and welcome to our first ever The Teacher Squad podcast. It's our inaugural getting together. I'm so excited. And Heather, it has been another beautiful, if not scorching week in the global teaching neighbourhood. How are you doing, babe?
I am really good because not only has it been scorching in the global teaching world, we've actually had some scorchio weather for a change. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad. Well, I'm trying to be positive. I've had a flood. I've been diagnosed with a UTI, but other than that, honey, I'm great.
The word is fine. I'm fine.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, the totally British fine. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Sorry.
I'm
How
fine.
are you?
Crack on. So every week, how are we going to start this amazing Teacher Squad podcast, Jane?
Well, I've decided, and I'm just deciding whether it's a bit toxic, not sure. You're a little bit more positive than me. You know, I'm a bit doom and gloom. And you've decided, not me, this is your blinking idea, to start in a certain way. And I've decided to go along with it for now. But what are we going to do, Heather? You tell me.
I'm loving the way that this is going to be. Like, if it goes really well, you're going to take the glory. And if it goes really bad, it's going to be my fault. That's how we're going to roll. I'm cool with being the positive, shiny, good cop character. I shall wear that hat. So in lockdown in our house, and my daughter was struggling a little bit of anxiety going on. And I found out a little bit about the benefits of gratitude for the giver and the receiver. So we have a new habit in our house that's lasted the 3 years. And every day, doesn't matter who you are, if you're in our house at that time, you have to say 2 things that you are grateful for. And you know, when it's at our best, you can have more, but you have to do 2. You have to find the positive. It's good for you, Jane. And it's
Okay.
even more powerful on those days, those weeks when it's been a little bit tough.
Yeah.
Shall I go first?
Yeah, will you please, please, or give me a chance to. No, yes, I can do this. Go on then, Heather. Hit me
You
up with
certainly
your.
can. You're a sunshiny, happy person. So my first piece of gratitude this week, I am grateful for some sunshine and a beautiful place to live in to enjoy it. Nice bit of sea swimming yesterday, no wetsuit, beautiful turquoise sea, rather nice.
Ooh.
Did have a costume on, I'm not that brave. And my second piece of gratitude, well, it's September. And I am the Really Rocks girl, so it's for new chapters. So my daughter has started secondary school and things are going well. We've had a nice smooth start. So I'm grateful for new beginnings. And this is new, so I'm grateful for this as well. And our new relationship, Jane, my podcast
Oh,
wife.
that's adorable. I love that. I'm glad we were married in this sort of over a microphone. I love that. Does your daughter like a new teacher?
Well, that's part of the secondary, that she's got many teachers, but her form tutor is the music teacher, and my daughter's a
Oh,
big fan of musical theatre. So
oh,
that's a nice connection. So yeah,
yeah.
that's good.
Oh, good.
So
Well,
what's your gratitude for then?
Well, I am going to put a little prism of optimism down. I cannot think of 2. You must be joking. But I can think of 1. And it is linked to the sun. And last year, and a little bit of a continuation into the spring, not by myself, Ian helped out. We planted up our garden, and I went to the Malvern show with my mum, and my mum's very Catholic, and she bought plants that were called things like angel wings. and made me buy them as well to bless the garden. And anyway, we were there. We met Jules Hudson, who, he does like some daytime program, at the Malvern Show. And I called him Joel the whole time. But I mention all of that because my garden has suddenly gone full thrust, big throttle. I don't know if you know the poem by Jean Sprotland, but she talks about, everything's thrown on max and there's cherry bling and you can hear the noise of pollen. So I've had a lot of spuming and thrusting in my garden, a big load of riot of colour. Disappointed by the lilies. They were a bit like, came and went very, very quickly. But other than that, it's just been gorge with loads of bees and butterflies. So yeah, very grateful. Very
Oh,
grateful.
nice.
Yeah.
I learnt a new word this week about bees, and I've forgotten what it is. I'm gonna have to remember for next time, and it's about being around bees and the benefits of them. Oh,
Yeah.
is it
Do you
like
know what I want?
apitherapy or something? I'm gonna have to look. Apitherapy?
Oh, I
Might just
tell
have a
you what,
double check.
I've got some money invested, like it's something like £7.50, one of these upstarts to get a beehive in the garden where you turn a tap and you don't have to kind of deconstruct it and kind of at the risk of getting stung, and you can pour out honey, and just that idea of kind of honey on tap. Yeah, so that might pull off. Yeah,
That might be
exciting.
nice. And I hear the best honey is those bees that are fed on heather flavoured honey.
Oh,
Funny that.
yeah. Oh, you are. I like this positivity, self love. We're just going to watch you in case you get a bit too toxic. You know what you're like.
Never, never, never. Let's move on then to
Yes.
our
Oh,
next feature. This one, yeah, again,
yes.
if it goes well, you're
It
going
can
to take the
stay.
glory. If it goes badly, I'm going to blame you because this one's yours. So we're going to go for a sentence of the week. So
Yes.
Jane, what
Yes.
is your sentence of the week?
Okay. Well, some people can sum it up in a sentence, some people can't, but this is the sum up of what I want to talk about today. And it's been all over the educational news, and particularly in the UK and further afield as well. And people are talking about this. And it's something we've known deep down in our loins, in our waters as teachers for a long time, but we've not really had the science to prove it. But now we have. And it's this: happier teachers are better teachers. And also, better teachers are happier teachers. And Science Direct did the study, and they are basically saying that, when relationships are going well, not just within our school or within our class, but our own sort of personal relationships are going well, then it all sort of interfeeds into how we're coping as a teacher, how we excel as a teacher. And, when we're angry or anxious, it can really affect our teaching quality. And when we're enjoying it, that can also affect our teaching quality. And I remember years ago, somebody said to me, well, what is the heart of the matter with teaching? And I can remember saying, well, it's a split of kind of 40% and 60%, 60% relationships and 40% sort of how strong your alcohol is, 40% vodka, whiskey. But it's about people, isn't it? And that's why I think we get a lot of burnout, because it's all about people. And I think it's really interesting when you tap in further into kind of the emotional well-being of teachers. And a study prior to the Science Direct study about what supports adults the most in schools who are working with children, it's actually trust. They want to feel like they can be trusted, and that others trust their professional decisions, and you're trusted by your superiors. And that's kind of also a bit of alarm bells, because 60,000 teachers were asked. I mean, I know this is a bit pre-COVID. I'm not really sure how this would stand up kind of post-COVID, but 20% of primary school teachers or elementary school teachers, you know, aren't happy. They're really unhappy. And 22% of secondary school teachers, like they're like 2% more unhappy than the primary school teachers. And then that made me think a little bit further and dig a bit deeper. So, who are the happiest professions? Who are they? And Heather, do you know who? Well, let me tell you, teaching is not in the top 10. It's not in the top 10. But at number 6, take a stab in the dark. What do you reckon? The
Number
six.
number 6,
Yeah.
the happiest profession, clowns.
Oh my goodness.
No, no, let me have another go. Let me have
No,
another go.
clowns.
CBeebies presenters.
Yeah, I bet they are quite happy. Um, have you seen the new EE advert? That sad clown in the new EE advert, he's a local hero where I live in Northamptonshire. So if you want anything signed by the new sad clown in the EE advert, oh yeah. But no, accountants. And I'm like, what? Like the number crunching, out there. That they are number crunchingly ecstatic.
Ooh, a spreadsheet. Ooh.
I cannot think of anything worse. Like, honestly, I am so here for the big up and girls and maths. I'm here for that. Carol Vorderman, I'm here for you. I'm here for all of that. But I certainly couldn't get that excited about being an accountant. So, we've got to think about, how we become happier. And actually, what we need our schools to be about is positive relationships. And gee, that can be hard. I mean, you and I have worked in schools where you can feel the professional love and the kindness. And then some schools, you can get it so wrong. It can go so wrong, can't it? Um, yeah. And then like conflict can happen really easily. And I don't know how easy I am to work with, actually, Heather, because I can be a bit of a catastrophizer and I use a lot of profanities. You might have heard that about me, and I can get very
Do
emotional and
you?
and name call. I'm not very
You're doing
good.
really well so far, Jane.
Actually, I think we're all right. We've got a PG certificate, so I can say actually more words than you know. I can say crap, Heather, and it's
Just
okay.
because you can doesn't mean you should.
True, true. I will reflect. But yeah, so
That's happy teachers.
we need to be open and honest. And like if you're driving to work at the moment, sometimes if you're feeling a bit fed up and sad about where you work, it's to do about the quality of the relationships, isn't it? And then the other thing I think that goes a bit wayward in schools sometimes, probably because people are busy, is like achievements. Like you can you can work on a project for the school, and like a thank you sometimes comes too late or it's not genuine. And I did like the cakes in the staff room, but was it timely enough? And thank yous, people really want them to be detailed. And I think that's really fascinating about humanness. We don't just go, yeah, thanks for doing that. It's like, yeah, but do you know how much bloody hard work that was? What are you actually thanking me for? Do you have any concept about? Because workload is the biggest reason that this job can get a bit much. And then, of course, the other thing is fairness. All these things make us happier. I mean, I don't want to get too down in the dumps, but last year, 31% of teachers suffered from a mental health issue related to work, and 76% of us, you know, develop behavioural or psychological problems because of the stress of work. So we've got to find ways, because the happier we are, the better
Yeah.
we're going to be in the classroom. And, having, because it feels very woolly, but we need to have very concrete conversations about, and it all comes back to people, things like conflict resolution, how much we feel respected, how much we can honestly communicate. Yeah, God, it's a bit of a big subject, that, Heather. I don't know. What are
It's
you
a
thinking?
huge subject. I mean, whose responsibility is it for the happiness of teachers? I mean, is it, how much of that is SLT? How much of that is just the teachers themselves? And it, like you said, it's a bit woolly, isn't it? And so how do we navigate that, and how do we find those concrete things that we can put in place? It's not, there's no magic wand, really, is there? I think it's about awareness and giving time to reflect.
Yeah,
But even just time to notice, like you said, if thank yous or kind of things come too late, it's because people are just so blinkered and they're
yeah,
so in it and they're not looking up. And actually, we're not necessarily as efficient as we should be when we don't give ourselves time to breathe,
yeah,
to look around, to
yeah,
notice,
yeah.
to speak to each other.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm not going to name any names, but I was training in a school on Friday, and there was a teacher who was crying quietly to her friend who was stroking her back and comforting her. And I just thought, the last thing you want to do when you're that upset is for anybody to notice. So, of course, I didn't notice, but she got upset again. And then I actually just said to her a quiet moment, kind of very discreet, that she could go home. She goes, "No, I feel much better here. I want to stay here. I think I'll be worse if I go." And then just like that sort of, as you say, looking out, trying to notice.
And
Um,
it's being aware of those times, isn't it? Because actually, that first going back, not just for the children, with 6 weeks of a very different routine, or no routine,
yeah,
and then to come back, it can be a real peak of anxiety and
yeah,
overwhelm.
yeah,
And how well you know yourself. Some people might think, do you know what? I know that I find that first day really overwhelming, but I
yeah,
know I've got those people I can go to. I
yeah,
know I will get over that. I've just
yeah,
got to get the ball rolling.
yeah,
But maybe, some of them might not necessarily have that self awareness or
yeah,
the capacity to get over that
yeah.
first hill.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, when the first day I went back this term, I did it on 4.5 hours sleep and a couple of Red Bulls, which was made me like amazingly excited for the first hour. But when the Red Bulls wore off, I didn't have any words. My brain wasn't working. So yeah, it is tough. But we're not going to get through teaching without friends. End of. And there's two types of friends, I think, in teaching. Kind of your real shut your stock cupboard door, effing jeffing, rage friends, offload real honest friends. And then, but I think there is this sort of professional friends culture that needs to happen in the school as well. And that, needs to work. And we've all worked in schools where that goes well, you know.
Yeah, I think it would be good if, Ian, hopefully you can do this in the show notes, if we can put some places that people who maybe are struggling can get some advice. I know there are some teacher mental health support groups, aren't there, that
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
if anybody wants to shout out to us and tell us how they stay a happy teacher, what makes them happy and worthwhile in their job, it'd be great to find that out, wouldn't it, Jane? How can
Oh,
they tell
absolutely.
you? Where can they find you?
Well, I'm kind of everywhere, Heather, if you want to know the truth. Uh, there is a teacher squad page on Facebook. We love comments. If you want something for the podcast, just let us know. I mean, we're quite interested in kind of voices from the chalk face. I'm on Insta at Jane Considine Education. I'm on X. As Jane
Twitter.
Considine.
Let's just call it Twitter. It is Twitter. I refuse to
Right.
call it X, Jane.
You got to move on. You got to move on with the times. So yeah, I'm everywhere. And like down the line, we might get a bit swanky and get like a podcast email. But yeah, I'm quite interested in like the notes. Like you want to tell us something, just record a note and hit us up. So yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
we'll
great to
sort that
hear from
out.
people. Yeah,
Yeah,
for now, you can drop us DMs on our Instagram, either Jane's or mine's, Reading Rocks. If you're Instagrammer or Facebook or Twitter, it'd be lovely to hear from people,
yeah.
you know, in that moment when you think, "Oh, Heather and Jane would like to know about this."
Oh yeah, we
Take
would.
take the phone in the cupboard and F and Jeff to us if you need to. We'll be there for you.
Yeah, but you can only say crap and bloody,
Oh,
just so
yeah,
you know
keep
the
it PG.
PG.
If you need the list, Jane's got it.
Yeah, yeah. I might have to declare the list. Oh dear. I tell you what though, training this week, we had a wasp. Talk about derailing the whole affair. And it did make me think, actually, is it a wasp? A wasp can derail any teaching and learning exchange, can't it? I wouldn't mind knowing the other top derailers that are happening out there for people. Because I can always remember being in NQT and vomit. That were it. Forget it. I'm not doing vomit. I can't cope. I'm very squeamish. Luckily, I had a Mrs. Gibbs. She can do vomit. So thank goodness.
Amazing. Everybody needs a Mrs. Gibb to deal with vomit. No, vomit. No, 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 no.
Right,
Oh,
your sentence, Heather. Can you sum up your sentence? Can
well,
you?
I like the way you said sum up because I'm surrounded. I'm a very kind of scatty ideas and scribble. So I'm literally surrounded by pieces of paper, but I have summed it up. Hopefully,
Cool.
I will be able to unpack and articulate it for you as well. But here's my sentence this week. Spot the alliteration. Pictures are pathways to pages. There you go. What do you think about that, Jane?
I love that. I love that.
I'm going to start with a negative, though. I'm sure
Go.
you've seen this week the latest research from the National Literacy Trust. 56.6% of our kids, or the children that were surveyed, are not enjoying reading in their
Mm,
free time. And so many of the social media posts around this have used the word crisis. And it is. It is. I mean, we know the power of reading for pleasure. We don't even need to go into that and shout about research. I think everybody who's listening will know about the powers of that. And if we can use any ways to get our pupils, our children reading, then we need to be talking about them and using them. And I think sometimes pictures are maybe the neglected side. Not everybody will use the power of pictures to get children into pages, or they're kind of, there's maybe an element of snobbery. Um, when I was reading lead, I like to have my zero snobbery approach. I think we've just got to get them on that pathway, get them into the pages, and then we can take them to the hierarchies of beautiful literature. But we've got to get them there first, haven't we? So pictures for me are twofold. Let me unpack it. Kind of keeping kids drawing themselves. What can we do about that? And then how are we using pictures, either them drawing them or those in books, in texts, um, to get them to to be creators, themselves, not just consumers. So I'm pretty sure that you are familiar with the amazing Rob Biddulph. You're familiar with him, Jane?
Oh, I love him. I love him. It is Christmas. It's not called Christmas Dog, is it? Is it? I think it is. Don't know. I
Odd
just
Dog
love him.
Out, and yeah,
Yeah,
Christmas Odd. Oh,
yeah,
Odd Dog Out is like literally my favourite picture book ever.
yeah.
And yeah, but I wanted to talk about that the hashtag Draw with Rob
Yes.
thing that happened in COVID, and how powerful was that, and still is, getting to kids to actually believe that they could draw. It took them step by step, and the artwork that was being produced, absolutely phenomenal, and seeing the confidence that was built in children. So I just think that's brilliant. That children can learn to do that. We were over the holidays. We were, where were we? Llanberis in North
Mm.
Wales. The weather was terrible, but never mind. We were staying in a nice kind of glamping pod thing. and on the ground next to it there was this piece of slate, and my daughter went, look, it's a draw with Rob, and there somebody had used a slate, um,
Oh, wow.
and there was a draw with Rob, and I was just like, oh my goodness, it's everywhere. It's rippled through. But keeping kids drawing as a way to be creative will lead them on in their writing and their creativity.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
do you like to draw, Jane?
I literally cannot survive without drawing. I'm a doodler, I'm a drawer. I like to capture my thinking as images, as visuals. I am constantly drawing. I actually now can't think without a pen in my hand, and it is a combination of draw, write, keywords. Yeah, absolutely. And just looping back to what you said about the National Literacy Trust crisis about reading. Um, I just wanted to say that yes, it's about reading for pleasure. But there's this other aspect that we need to do with reading, of course, which is like helping children to kind of read in a deep way. You know, it's kind of depth in reading and kind of building reading commitment. And yes, it's a crisis, but I thought it was just utterly depressing that it was the lowest percentage ever. Um,
Yeah,
and the other thing is that the group that was most disinterested was our free school meal pupils, and those were the children who the data had dropped even further, and that sort of hardening and widening, of that engagement with reading, and it kind of the very group that we want to make sure that they can read. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
absolutely. What you said there about kind of deep understanding, that was something else that I wanted to. I've got like a little clutch of books to help me kind of share a few other little things.
You do
Um,
know we're not visual. We're a podcast, Heather. Are you showing
oh
me?
yeah, but
Me?
it helps me think. It helps
Go
me
on then,
think.
do it.
Being visual helps me think. So this young graphic novel was in one of our recent subscription boxes, and I interviewed Paige. She's over in the States, but just just going through it before interviewing and thinking about all the questions just reminded me, even in a kind of comic text. I want to scrap that I even said in a comic text.
But what's it
There
called,
was
Heather?
so
You're showing me, but for the people who are listening, what the hell is that called?
Oh, sorry. I didn't even say what it was called. I'll get better at this, I promise. So it's Peanut Butter and Crackers Puppy Problems by Paige Braddock, and she writes and illustrates. She does have, I think it tells you in the back, a colorist, which I think is an amazing job. Somebody who
Yeah,
just picks the colours and colours in. How
yeah,
cool is that?
yeah.
Anyway, aside, unpicking the pictures and just going, do you know what? The depth of inference that we can get from there is just incredible. And this is kind of like an urge and a shout out to just say, make sure you're using these kind of things in the classroom, and kind of visual literacy, understanding kind of emotions. It really is a powerful tool for developing children's self-understanding and for empathy as well. Jane, I can feel myself getting excited and passionate.
Well, you best calm down, young lady. We'll have none of
I
that.
shall calm down
I,
and lift up the next book. You're not going to stop me. I'm on my high horse now. I'm ready.
I suppose you tell people what the bloody book's called, love.
I
Do you
will
know
this
what I mean?
time. I will. I'll go quickly. So the next book I'm holding up is by Katie Kirby, and it's from the Lottie Brooks series. Now, this is a series that my daughter is currently flying through at the moment, and it's kind of one of those diary books, but it's got loads of kind of doodly illustrations in it, and it just helps kids find their flow through reading. So books like this, let's make sure that we're putting them in front of children who need to just find their series or find their way into a slightly longer text. The Loki series by Louis Stahl. I'm not holding it up. I brought that one in. Just
Oh,
popped into
what
my
a
head.
letdown.
What a letdown. But I'll tell you a story about Louis. She came down to Cornwall uh, back end of summer term and took around some schools to do some author events. She's brilliant. So if you've got money in your budget to get her in for an author event, if she's got any diary space, absolutely awesome. But one of the things she does is she asks, so Loki, the character, is very mischievous.
Yeah.
And in the book, she draws him, and
Yeah.
it's in that kind of bit more than a stickman style, but you know, that kind of doodly thing.
Yeah.
And she says, "What's Loki going to be doing?" And this hall full of engaged children are going, "Make him shove someone's head down the toilet, make him eat crisps," all kinds of, and she's drawing them. And the engagement
Yeah.
in creating this picture
Yeah.
is incredible. I live a great life, Jane. I'm also going to tell you about Friday. I was in
Do
Port
it.
Isaac Primary School with brilliant author Ross Montgomery.
Oh, love him.
Absolute masterclass in author visits.
Yeah.
Again, if you can book him, do so. But he was doing his picture book, 10 Delicious Teachers, with
Oh,
the Key Stage 1 children, and they were given the opportunity to create their own monster, teacher gobbling monster. I mean, which kid wouldn't want to do that?
yeah.
And
Love it.
just the free flow of being able to come up with a drawing, it's magical, and some of the ideas that they came up with was really, really great. Can I share one more book?
I'll let you. I'll let you.
Oh,
We
thanks,
do love a
super
good book.
I will remember. So I said my sentence was a pictures of pathways to pages, and this one really is a special one. If people haven't come across this, they really need to get themselves a copy. So it's written and illustrated by Ed Vere, and it is called The Artist, and it is about what does it mean to be an artist. And if you want to find out a bit more about Ed Vere, I've listened to Frank Cottrell Boyce and Nadia Shireen's podcast, The Island of Brilliant, which is brilliant.
Yeah.
And they interviewed Ed and were talking about this and how, he works on the power of pictures and stuff like that. But about an artist is someone who takes the time to look at the world and reflect
Mm,
on it. And I just thought that was really powerful about the empathy and kind of the art of noticing, which we talked about in being a happy teacher and reflecting as well. So, and
mm,
there's also an article, let me see where, on the Big Draw website, there's a beautiful interview with Ed where it unpacks that a little bit more and kind of the power of kind of illustrations and pictures with children. Um, it's good
mm.
fun having a good old passionate chat, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, there's loads of things that struck me when you were chin wagging there, but and touching on it there with that final book called The Artist, and then sort of how an artist kind of can amplify things in the world. And I often think that is like the bigger job of a teacher. It's your whole day is a kind of a necklace of noticings, of how the kids are getting on and that kind of trying to respond in real time. The other thing, this job of a colorist, isn't that just a, not as posh name for going to work for Farrow and Ball? You know what I mean? Mole's breath and all of that jazz. It's one of them, isn't it?
Is it a job you fancy, Jane?
I don't mind that. The other thing I thought was interesting on the school visit when they had to come up with punishments, your second punishments was make them eat crisps. I mean,
Well, it wasn't punishment, it was just mischievous. I couldn't think of anything good. The kids were way better at thinking of stuff. They were way better at thinking of things.
oh,
Can I
eating
just
crisps.
recommend
Go on.
some picture books? This is what you're gonna do. Can I talk about another book, Jane? Can I talk about another book, Jane?
Right, I have to put a limit on this. Don't know if I can tolerate all these blinking book references. Am I
You love it!
joking? Right,
Just
one more.
if
One
people
more and no more.
these books have been around for a while, so I'm sure some people will be familiar with them, but they're kind of favourites for me for the Key Stage 2. If you've never used picture books in upper school before, please check out
Yeah.
by Sean Tan and Gary Crew, The Viewer. Please tell
Yes.
me you've come a
Yes.
beautiful, amazing book.
Yes.
And The Memorial. Did you do The
Yes.
Memorial as well? Love
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
And if you're brave enough to go totally pictureless,
Yeah.
the David Wisner books, Tuesday. People
Yeah.
have to look these up if they've not come across them.
Well, I think if you've been teaching as long as we have, Heather, we'll definitely know them. But there are ECTs and NQTs. Do you know what I mean? And actually, sometimes, even as old duffers, we forget what we know. Like you say that, and it's just like, oh, yeah, I do know that. I do love that. I haven't used
Yeah.
it for a few years. So, yeah, really good shout. Uh, on the question of punishment, if I was going to have to eat crisps as a punishment,
And people are
yeah.
going to notice this thread in the podcast. If there's some kind of negative punishment, bad, that gives it over to you. Positivity and optimism, come to me.
It's called yin and yang. Yeah, it's going to be the ready salted walkers. They are really rubbish and a bit greasy. They weren't in the old days, but they're now a bit greasy. I don't want them shoved down my throat anyway. Right. I definitely think it's time for Mrs. Darlington. I'm so excited about speaking to her, and actually, in light of some of your excitement and some of your themed art books, Heather, it's going to be really interesting to chat to her. She is an art advisor. She helps teachers bring the art curriculum to life. So, without further ado, I'd love to welcome Adele. Welcome, Mrs. Darlington. Mrs. Darlington, we're so delighted to have you here. We know that you love art and you make the art curriculum come to life for teachers, but we're going to call you Adele. It's lovely to have you here. I hear you're at a party.
I am at a party, but thank you very much for inviting me to your party.
Oh, it is a
Yay!
party. Me and Heather have just got married. Yeah.
Oh,
Podcast wives.
Oh, that's so
And they
lovely.
lived happily ever after.
So
Not.
cute.
no.
I don't think I can cope with her toxic positivity, Adele.
Hey,
But
that's the toxic.
right, Adele. I know you've had lots of nibbles, but in terms of staff room nibbles, are you kind of a Jaffa cake or a chocolate hobnob kind of a teacher?
Definitely a chocolate hobnob, but I'm quite partial to a custard cream as well. No to the bourbon, a bit of a best biscuit connoisseur. No bourbons, but custard creams or chocolate hobnobs. I'm there.
I agree with you so much. Chocolate bourbons are rubbish. They're just like crumbly cardboard.
No, you're both wrong. You're both wrong.
Oh,
If I'm going to have chocolate, I want proper chocolate, not
yeah.
pretend.
I hear you. I feel that. Right, Adele. In terms of like, I'm just going to put a class of kids in front of you now. You've got 30 kids. They're a little bit wild around the edges. They're year 5. Are you going to go for batik or papier mâché?
Papier mâché, definitely papier mâché.
Because?
I've got some fond memories of papier mâché. When I first started teaching, I was teaching year 1 and decided to make some papier mâché piggy banks with them. And the instructions, because when you start teaching, you follow the instructions, don't you? Said to Vaseline balloons. So the children all had a balloon each, and they were Vaseline the balloons before papier mâché. And you can imagine there were 30 balloons flying around the classroom because they were very slippery.
Can I tell you my paper mache story, please?
Oh, you don't
Podcast
do
wife.
papier? Don't you do papier? Don't you do a bit
Papier
of
mache.
French?
Oui. Well, let me take you to my year 5 classroom. I can't remember what we were making, some kind of helmets, whether they were Vikings or something. But again, loads of balloons in the classroom. Don't think we went down the Vaseline route. But there was one particular kid and it was just a bit too thin. And he needed to put some extra layers on. And I'm walking around the classroom and going, more on. Didn't mean to call him a moron. Sorry, year 5 pupil who's probably like nearly 20 now or something.
Oh man, art. I mean, some teachers can and some teachers can't. How do you help, Adele, those teachers who like, oh, it's not for me. I can't really do an art lesson. How do you help build their confidence? What sort of things do you do to support people?
I think one of the really big things with art, they want to children, aren't we, that you can do it. So for teachers to be saying they can't do it, you just have to keep saying you can. And I try to encourage the teachers to learn with the children and to work with the children and will teach themselves at the same time as teaching the children and modelling and practicing. And yeah, in my school, the teachers are quite lucky because I film the video, so they actually have me teaching the children, so they can learn alongside them. But yeah, just try not to lack the confidence and just have a go.
Right, can I just
That's a great
rewind back?
idea. So use the
Yeah.
expert in your school to have them do the modelling and then
Mm.
them follow. Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and then do you ever turn the cameras on the teachers to see if they've done the clay pot properly, or is it just all supposed to be supportive and nice? I don't
I'm
know.
supposed to be nice. I go around and have a little look at what classrooms, but yeah, I'm very supportive.
Oh,
I'm a nice teacher.
yeah.
Ah, and we were saying, Jane, your pot's very interesting. Well done.
Yeah, yeah. Good
But
girl. So proud of you.
yeah, we don't want
What's
everyone to look.
important, Jane, is you tried.
Yeah, thanks, honey.
Sorry, Adele.
So, Adele, do you actually engage in art yourself, outside of the classroom? Is that something that you like to do? Be an artist yourself?
I dabble a little bit. I mean, I studied art at school, but I was at a school where they favoured the academic subjects, so I kind of had it pushed out of me, so to speak, when I was younger. But I've kind of done full circle now. I do a little bit of art at home, but I love going to galleries. I love art. My sister's an artist, a very good artist, so I still am very much involved in the art world, so to speak.
I love that. And are you doing sculpture or painting or sketching? What is your art vibe?
I like to do a little bit of sketching. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how important is it, like your pencil types?
That's very important. I do encourage schools to use the proper sort of sketching pencils because you get such a different result, and they're so different for the children to use.
What's your
Mm.
favourite one? Is it a HB?
Schools, no, I don't have a favourite pencil. No.
Oh, well, I
I
don't
like a
know.
4B. I
Do
like a
you?
Yeah.
4B.
I like a 2B,
Nice and soft.
babe. Heather, I think you've got better questions than me. Please ask some sensible questions.
Oh, in typical style, I've got paper all around me, and thanks to Bloomsbury who sent us some copies of your book, 100 Ideas for Primary Teachers Art. This is a bit exciting. Yeah, you've got your copy. Hey, look at that trio of books, amazing. Uh, I like the fact that it's dip in, dip out to support those teachers who maybe are a bit unsure. In one of them, you mentioned your dad, which was nice,
Mhm.
and talked about being an art role model. How can we be art role models in the classroom? How can we encourage that, and how important is that? Do you think?
I am very enthusiastic about art in my classroom, and I think enthusiasm breeds enthusiasm, doesn't it? So all the children that I have in my class tend to just love art. I think because they know I love art, they love a leopard print as well because I'm quite partial to a bit of leopard print as well, and books. So yeah, the three main things that are very important. The kids in my class like too, but yeah, I think just being enthusiastic and just showing a love for something and speaking passionately about something. I think just the children pick up on that and they get excited too. But yeah, my lovely dad, he used to always play sort of arty games with us when me and my sister were younger. So I've mentioned him in my book, and I mentioned my sister as well because obviously she like me was on the receiving end of my dad's sort of arty games and magic tricks. He was good at magic tricks. I'm not doing 100 magic tricks for teachers, don't worry. But dad,
Oh, what's
I
your
want
dad's name? Adele.
Nick,
Oh,
Nick,
yeah,
and he's very good at art as well. So,
yeah.
mm.
No, that's
Although
Are
I
there
great.
any other art role models that we could think about bringing into the classroom? Maybe in the community. Obviously, there's kind of illustrators from the publishing world.
I often join those virtual. I think is it Penguin and Scholastic. They do a lot of free webinars and virtual visits that you can join with your class. So I do tend to do that with my children. We've joined one that Dapo Adiola did. We've joined Nadia Shireen did one as well, and the children love. It's just bringing the illustrators to life as much as the authors in the picture book world. But also, we've got a very lovely gallery in the town where my school is, so we link with them quite a lot. So I take my children down to the gallery, so they get to sort of experience a gallery space and talk to the people that work there, which is really nice as well.
Yeah, that's great. And for some children, they might never go to that kind of environment unless school takes them, and kind of opening up doors and aspirations for them there. That's brilliant. I noticed on your socials that you had been doing some, were they self-portraits with your class as a kind of
Yeah.
get to know you idea? How can some of our teachers listening use art in September, in September stride, get those pupils going?
I think, I teach UIFS, so doing those portraits is really nice for me, because I sat with the children one at a time. So we had sort of little chats about themselves, and we had mirrors, so they were looking in mirrors, pulling funny faces, pulling sad faces, happy faces. So it's quite a nice getting to know you experience for my children. It's very interesting though when you start out with the EYFS, because they're drawing their portrait and they don't draw their right eye with their right hand, some of them, and their left eye with their left hand. It's just one of those things when you're watching the children working, you really get to find things out about them. And I think I can hear a wasp, so I will try not to
Oh, the
A wasp?
party. Oh, the wasp. I knew it was
We talked about the wasp
derail.
before.
Yeah, I've been thinking about. We've said that a wasp will derail absolutely anything. It will derail a CPD event, a classroom,
yeah,
teaching and learning experience, a podcast, but also wind. I think so.
yeah,
Count your blessings. It's just a wasp. Nothing
yeah.
else.
Oh,
Oh dear. Are you going to be okay locked in with that wasp, Adele?
I, I was just saying, I've had a deer join a PE lesson
What?
before
A
that.
deer?
Yeah. And I had a bird in the classroom in the summer term that we
Oh,
had to catch with one of the ghost dressing up costumes that happened to be in the classroom, and we managed to get it out, but that caused a little bit of chaos.
yeah,
What kind
just
of
a
bird?
tad. Just a tad.
I can't remember if it was a blackbird. It was very dangerous. It kept flying into the wall. It was quite traumatic.
Yeah. The symbol
Yeah,
of
I used to
death.
have a cat.
Yes,
Having
quite
having a
traumatic.
bird in the house is very traumatic because they're traumatized, aren't they? Wow,
Yeah,
we've really digressed here. Can I bring it
yeah,
back?
yeah. Is only if you're going to make a link between the ghost shroud that captured the symbol of death in a classroom. I mean, I don't know how we're getting bits Salvador Dali in our art references here, but yeah, I like it.
Oh, nice. I can't do that. I was going to ask
Do
about
it.
your pet hates. So, in terms of art in the classroom, what really makes you feel, why are they doing that? Or, what do schools do? What do teachers do in art that you think, no, just it's a no for me?
Yeah, I think the big thing really is that we want children to give lines of, I call it colour by numbers, when every child's piece of work looks exactly the same. Yeah, I prefer to see a little bit of creativity from the children, and that sort of allowing them to be a bit freer and putting their own stamp on things.
How do
Hmm.
we how do we get to that point then? Because it's good practice, isn't it, to kind of imitate from the masters. I noticed,
Yeah,
one of the ideas was about kind of not having outcomes for every art lesson, and understanding that at some point we've got to teach them skills. Is that the way that we open the door to the creativeness for their innovation?
showing them the processes, giving them the chance to practice, and also I think teachers often have used that sort of approach because it's safe, and they're scared of getting things wrong, and they feel like art lessons you have to have something that's wall worthy at the end, whereas not every art lesson has to come to finish with an outcome that's worthy of the wall. So yeah, I think it's teacher confidence and just letting the children be free, just feeling brave and just having a go.
Yeah. Do you have a favourite kind of activity lesson? Oh, in here, in your book.
Or
Did you have a
you know what,
favourite in there, Jane?
Yeah, I did.
Sorry.
I thought there were some great ones, but my favourite is on page 79, shapes in clouds. I love that. You know, you could go and take photographs of clouds and
That was
you know, draw some faces on that, you know, because isn't that just so sort of whimsical and romantic, you know, lying on your back, looking at the clouds, you know, that the abstracted sky and seeing shapes in them. I love that. But back to my pet peeve about art, it's when you can, if you're working with paints, you can see which kids are picking their nose because they've got a line of stripe red.
Oh, Jane! We really
Rank.
need to get back to Adele. Sorry, I didn't even let you answer the question. What's your favourite art lesson from this 100 ideas, Adele?
I'm just trying to think. I don't know. I haven't really thought about my favourite one. I liked the litter bugs. That was good fun. I've done that with, well, I've done all of these with children in school. Litter bugs is fun. We did
Tell us
that
about
following.
that one.
We the first time I did that with my class, we'd been to the gallery that I was speaking about earlier, Goldmark Gallery in Uppingham, which is beautiful. And we've been to see an artist's work. He's called Sid Bernard, and he makes artwork from things that he finds on the beach. So
Yeah.
driftwood, flippers, you know, the random things you find on a beach. And he makes animals, and the children, it was so EYFS friendly. It was perfect. And we came back and the children brought in junk from home and they made their own animals, which are called litter bugs. And we took them, we've got a forest school area, and we took them down there to photograph. So the children used the iPads and they posed their litter bugs and took photographs, a bit like Sid Bernard had done in his catalogue. They were on the beach taking the photos. So that was a really nice activity. The children loved it.
Yeah, I
So
love that. Our EYFS pupils do art installations. Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I
I know
love it.
that gallery in Uppingham. It's absolutely stunning and it's very beautiful. And the fact that they open the doors to the children, I mean, there's some very expensive paintings and sketches there. I mean, isn't that wonderful? You must, you know, you must have a really good relationship with people in your community to make those things work. Adele, do you take teacher visitors to your school? You know, if I'm a struggling new teacher and art isn't my forte, could I come and visit you and get a flavour of how you do things there?
be very welcome, Jane.
Oh,
Yeah.
just don't mean me. I just mean, can I tell like the whole of the teacher community to rock up? I mean,
The
I'm
whole of the
bloody.
teacher squad is going to descend on your school with paintbrushes
Oh,
and
dear.
papier-mâché.
Yeah.
We're very happy visitors.
Yeah, great. And is there any other school? I know yours is great, but is there any other schools that you know about that have really impressed you on your travels, or you look at their work and you go, yes, children are able to own it, make it their own, put their stamp on it. You can see they've been nurtured and guided with a wireframe, but it's just stunning some of the stuff that is happening in
Yeah.
that school.
I was very lucky. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but I travelled up to Gomersall Primary, which is where Mandy Barrett is based. I think anybody who enjoys art follows Mandy on Twitter and follows Gomersall Primary. She's got a fabulous blog that's really useful and helpful to teachers. And I travelled up there with a good friend of mine called Kerry, who you might know on social media. She's Teacher Glitter, and she shares fabulous creative ideas as well. And we went on a road trip together. Well, road trip. We went on a train trip together up to visit Mandy, and the art environment there is just amazing. She's got a beautiful art room, and she just does such amazing projects for children. So if anybody gets the chance to visit Gomersall, just go,
Yeah,
just go.
yeah.
She's
And do you,
Brilliant.
Adele, do consultancy for other schools? Can you help schools who need you?
I do. I deliver staff meetings at other schools, and I mean, I'm only in my school 3 days a week, so on the other 2 days, I do work as a consultant and go into other schools.
Yeah, yeah. Wow.
So how do people find you if they want to reach out?
I'm very active on Twitter, as you know, at Mrs.
X,
Dar.
X.
XX. Yeah,
Twitter. We're
X.
going with Twitter, Adele. You were in the right.
So I'm, what am I, at Mrs._Darl on there. I'm Mrs. Darlington's World on Instagram. My email is adele@mrsdarlington.co.uk, which is very easy to remember, isn't it? So yeah, I just would love helping
Yeah,
other schools.
great. Oh, love that. I think there'll be a lot of schools who realise they've sold art down the road. I'm just going to finish with one of your quotes, Adele. And I don't know if this is a bit of a dig at me, actually, because a lot of my work is trying to improve spelling around this country. But this is your quote. We must give art a regular slot in the school timetable, and it must not be replaced with extra spellings or timetables. But I think that's important because actually English and maths can take over, can't it, if we're not careful?
Yeah.
Oh, you've
Yes.
been lovely.
Can I just show you before I go that I've got some of my favourite books that I like to share that are to do with art?
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes, the answer's always yes for sharing books.
But can we put
Just
a
don't
limit on
forget
it,
to
please?
say which books they are.
I've got 4.
Do it.
Let's go rapid.
Right, well, the first one, I think Heather likes this one too.
Yeah.
The Artist.
Yeah.
That one,
Snap.
Fabulous by Edvir. I met Edvir this year. I felt like I'd met like a Hollywood film star because I'm such an Edvir fan, but he was very lovely and the book is amazing. I've also got this one, Colour and Me. Do you know that one? Yeah.
Yes.
I
Lovely.
love that. Grateful Reception. This one, Luna Loves Art.
Yeah, I love Luna Loves Art. Great series.
Yeah, set in a gallery. And a new one that I've got this weekend, which is a great picture of older children as well as young one, is called The Artivist. And it talks about how art can be used to sort of provoke or to start conversations and help change the world. So that's fabulous. The Artivist, that's by Nicholas Smith. It's lovely.
Fantastic. I've not seen that one. I shall check it out.
Yeah, definitely. Yes.
Well, Adele, you've been adorable. Thank you for all your insight into making art meaningful for children. I love your book recommendations, and actually, really importantly, that the process of art, we don't necessarily need an outcome for the wall. It doesn't always have to be wall worthy, and you're just your connections with the community that you're doing to bring art to life. I think these are all good principles that our listeners can adopt as they're shaping up their art curriculums.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you so much, Adele. And I think we are very lucky that we've got some extra copies of this book, aren't we, Jane? So
Yep.
we'll be doing some competitions for our listeners so they can get themselves nose deep in some of these amazing ideas as well.
So to win your own copy of 100 Ideas for Primary Teachers in Art, can you complete the sentence, art matters because ... and we'll choose our favourite and we'll send them a prize. Where they can send it to: Reading Rock's Instagram, Jane Considine Instagram. We might get a podcast email soon, but not yet. No, calm down, slowly.
One thing at a time. Just tag us in.
Great. Thank you, Adele. Thank you for being our very first guest. You were wonderful.
You were amazing. To let you go back to your soiree now and enjoy some more nibbles.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, God, I want to go to a soiree now and have a G&T.
I thought you were going to say something like, oh, I want to get the paper mache out now, not the gin.
Oh, no way. Yeah, sod that. I'm not doing that. Yeah, actually, do you know what? I don't mind teaching art. Do you know what I hate teaching? Music. It's because I'm not very good at it. Yeah, timbre. I ain't got a bloody clue. Do you know what I mean?
Let's move on. I'm pretty sure we've got a final section to do.
Yeah, we have. This was your gorgeous idea. The wonder.
I think it was yours. I'm going to let you have the glory for this one. This was a wow idea, wasn't it? The wonder of words.
The wonder of words. Making language prized and precious possessions, and we sort of given each other a bit of a kind of a benchmark of, has there been some words that have really kind of struck a chord or resonated? What have you found on your travels? And I just wanted to, I'm going to let you go first, Heather. Has there been something that has caught your eye in terms of language this week?
Well, it's not out this week, but this is fun. I'm holding up a book, and I'm going to tell you what it is if I can
Mm.
find the camera. No, the other way, Heather. There we go.
Oh, yeah.
Scandal and the Unicorn Thief, which some people will be familiar with by A.F. Stedman. But this prologue is an absolute masterclass in grabbing your readership audience straight away. So if I'm allowed, I'm just going to read a tiny, tiny section
Do
and
it.
get you hooked. But I also think it's an amazing model for writing. As a teacher, you read it and you go, oh, we could do this. We could do this. If children could create their own versions. So I don't know how you feel about unicorns, Jane. But get those pink fluffy ones out of your mind and get
Okay.
ready for some bloodthirsty ones. So this is the prologue from the first in the series, Scandal and the Unicorn Thief. The cameraman heard the unicorns before he saw them. High-pitched screeching, murderous growls, the gnashing of bloody teeth. The cameraman smelled the unicorns before he saw them. Rancid breath, rotting flesh, the stench of immortal death. The cameraman felt the unicorns before he saw them too. Somewhere deep in his bones, their putrid hooves thundered, and the panic began to rise until every nerve, every cell told him to run. But he had a job to do.
Oh, wow.
It's
That
good,
is
isn't it?
so good.
I mean, I'm good at reading it out as well. Come on. It's one
You
of my
are.
favourite things to do, but
Yeah.
it's so good. That's a gift to read out.
Yeah, that is just sort of drenched in negativity, all that repetition for effect, all that emphasis. Oh, love it.
Yes.
Yeah, on the edge
Come
of
on
your
then.
So mine, I suppose, is going a little. I didn't realise at first, but it's going a bit full circle, and it's kind of going back to the garden that we started with. And often, when I'm working with, in classes, helping kids be good at reading, I talk about, do we know more than the central character? Do we know the same as the central character, or do we know less than the central character? And this is a little extract from The Boy Who Grew Dragons by Andy Shepherd. And it's just a really small moment, but it's just so tender and real. And Grandad and the boy know something that we don't know yet. It's been withheld from us. But it's kind of it kind of does nothing. My extract, it's not like yours. It's so small, but I just want to share this. And this it begins with Grandad talking. I've been wanting to get stuck into this since we moved in, Grandad told me, pausing to catch his breath. But with one thing and another, I just don't seem to have found the time. I stopped digging and scraped my spade across a clod of mud. I know you have no idea what he was talking about, but I did. I knew exactly what he meant by one thing or another. Sorry, I muttered, because I really was. And it's just so, it doesn't, it's so opposing to yours. It's just like, it's a nothing, it's a conversation. It's like, I'm sorry, Grandad. It's my fault that we haven't been able to sort this garden out. But we don't even know what that something is. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, but both powerful in their devices in engaging the reader. That's what the richness of books is about, isn't it? There are so many ways that you can be drawn in and entranced by the story. Oh, Jane, it's been such a great time. I think we did okay for our first podcast. Do
I
you?
I think we've done more than okay. You are an absolute joy to work with, Heather. I've absolutely loved it. Please hit us up, everybody out there. Tell us about why art matters. Tell us about the biggest lesson derailers. Just talk to us because we want to hear you. And if you get a voice note to us, then we'll share them next week.
Yeah,
Thank you, Heather.
absolutely. Oh, thanks, Jane. Shall we say goodbye to everyone?
Yeah. So it's Heartburst
From Jane and Big Love.
from Heather.
See you next week.
See you next week.